So hello fellow Earthlings, this is Earthling 6455463728, and I wanted to talk about the time that I had to diagnose and basically tried to self-prescribe antibiotics for my own walking pneumonia. So this is basically about the time when I decided that I really wanted to lose a bunch of weight. I don't know. After I left university, I was about 195 pounds, let's say, and I might have gotten down to 180 something, but I felt like I needed to lose 30, 40 pounds, something like that. So I did something that was really, really hard, which was I wasn't counting calories at the time, but I decided that based on experience from years earlier when I did lose about 20 something pounds, 30 pounds, let's say, that I would eat an amount of food the size of my fist every 4 hours. And I did that. My stomach hurt a lot. It was very, very painful. But I did it. I was losing and lost, I think, a considerable amount of weight. I don't know if I was weighing myself every day. But one day and this was probably unconnected, but one day I went out to a party and I stayed out not that long, not that late. And I came home, and from that day on, I could not sleep properly. As soon as my eyes started to close, my body would get racked by coughing, fits of coughing. So one night, 2 nights, I really wasn't sleeping at all. It was just coughing all night long. And I told myself, hey, you just have a really bad cold. That's all that it is. But my mother, she thought that I should go to the doctor. And I told her, what's the point of doing that? They're just going to tell me that there's nothing that they can do. And that's what I thought, and that was the end of it. But as in other circumstances, I thought about what my mother said. I Googled stuff and I thought about it, and then I decided, you know what? This is really horrible. Let me just go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and I sat and I waited. And when it was my turn, I went in. I told the doctor, how I was having all this trouble sleeping since I was coughing so much. And she asked me a series of questions. And to each one of them, I said, nope, 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 nope. She got to the end and she said, well, there's nothing I can do for you. And this was exactly what I thought she would say. But I was still upset that she could say that there was nothing that she could do for me. So I wanted to make sure, I'm like, you're serious? There's nothing you can do for me? And she's like, well, do you want to get a chest x-ray? Now at this time, I had no idea where she was going with this. I didn't know why she asked me those questions. I didn't know anything about anything. But I knew that I had something bad. And I really wasn't even thinking about what it could potentially be. I just wanted help. And I kind of pressed her for it because I figured that's what you have to do sometimes. Sometimes people don't think of something else that they can do to help you unless you ask them something else. Like in some instances, I remember I was looking for a part for my mother's car. And it's an older car. So, I'd gone to the Yellow Pages and searched for places that had car parts. And I was going through all of these different places and nobody had the part. So eventually I realized, wait a minute, I need to ask them if there's somebody else that they know. What can I do if they know of any place where I can get this? It's not whether or not they have it. Please tell me of some other place that you think might have it that maybe is not in the phone book. And that's how I was able to get parts for her car. And it's the same thing. So when the doctor told me, hey, there's nothing we can do, I was like, really? And then she's like, well, do you want a chest x-ray? So I'm like, yeah. So I went to get the chest x-ray with, whatever it is that the doctor said. And I got the x-ray, and I'm sitting out waiting for them to come back and tell me what's what. And the guy comes to me and he says, well, we couldn't find anything on the x-ray. And at this point, I was kind of like, okay, because what? I mean, he wasn't the doctor. He was just, I guess, the x-ray guy, I guess. Maybe he was a doctor. Maybe he was an x-ray tech. I don't know what he was. But that seemed like the end of it. But I still wasn't satisfied at that point. So I went and I started Googling when I came back home. And what I found were some of the questions that the doctor asked me. And I realized that the questions that she had asked me had to do with pneumonia. And I realized that, okay, and I read some of the questions again. And as I was reading it, I got to one question that she asked me that I had said no to. And it was, did you have any funny smells when you coughed or when you brought up any mucus or anything like that? And I said no. And the answer, I guess, still was no. So, I must have stopped Googling at that time. And I don't know how it came up in my head, but I realized that, yeah, it wasn't recently, like close to the time that I went to the doctor, that had happened. It was at the beginning of the whole thing that when I had coughed, it would smell. I got a funny smell in my nostrils when I would bring up, mucus and whatever else. So I thought, wait a minute. If one of these things is true, even if they can't find anything on the x-ray, that might be what my problem is. Now, all this time, I am still having really, really horrible nights sleeping. All right? And granted, I think maybe it was getting a little bit better, slowly. But it was still, every night was still very bad. And it was just a little bit better. So I thought, you know what? I know a doctor. He does house calls. I'm going to call him up. He's going to ask me these questions. I'm going to say yes, 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 yes. He's going to give me antibiotics. And that's going to be it. So that's what I did. He came. I said yes, 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 yes. He gave me a prescription for antibiotics. And 3 days later, no more problems. All of my coughing was gone. Boom. Now, in the past, I've thought, well, it's a 50-50 kind of thing. Maybe I just got better, or maybe the antibiotics worked. And so I went looking, I think, in the last 6 months sometime, to see how long does it take for antibiotics to kick in. And of course, there's always this range, but apparently it's within about 3 days. And that was exactly how long it took for me to recover completely from the time I got the antibiotics from the guy. So now I can't be upset with the doctor because she asked me what she was supposed to ask me, and I can't even really be upset with myself because the symptoms that I was supposed to answer yes to, they weren't continuous. It didn't happen all the time. it was only because I heard the question from her, I Googled it, I saw the question again, and then sometime later, hours or days later, I realized, yeah, that did happen. So I don't know exactly what to recommend to you. Well, I do, but I don't know how emphatic I can be about it. The idea is that anytime you have somebody who is a professional that is supposed to help you, unfortunately, they usually have that limited amount of time where they can help you. When you're at the doctor's office and they're asking you those questions, the doctor's not coming home with you to ask you how you're doing and be walking around and listening to you coughing. And no, the only person you have with you during that time is you. Whether it is a mechanic, you drive your car and this funny noise happens. The mechanic might be too busy to drive the car with you to hear what the funny noise is. They're just going to lift up the hood and look around to see what it could be. And when every time you drive the car with them, maybe you don't hear it because it has to be this very specific period of time and circumstances where you hear the noise. And it's basically up to you. That's what my whole story is. You have professionals, and a lot of them are capable. A lot of them may be honest, but the person that you have 100% of the time with is you. So make sure that you are paying attention and that you are giving yourself full amount of you that you can. Pay as much attention to that funny noise that you're hearing. Pay as much attention to, what's written on your screen when your computer goes bad. Pay as much attention as you can. Write it down, take a picture, do whatever you can to provide as much information for the person who needs to help you. And you can Google stuff. You can ask them why they asked you that question. And you can try to learn as much as they know about what your problem might be. Because they are not going to be there to hold your hand when you need it. So anyway, guys, you can wish me luck. You can like or unlike. You can comment, subscribe, and or share. And of course, you can do nothing. Peace.